I'm Elena, and I'm 34 years old. This is the story of how my grandmother's funeral became the day my entire family's lives came crashing down like a house of cards in a hurricane. I stood at the back of the church in my simple black dress, watching my mother and sister sob dramatically in the front row. Designer tissues dabbing at perfectly made-up faces. My father sat stone-faced beside them, his hand possessively on my mother's shoulder. The golden family. The perfect family. The family that had spent 3 decades pretending I didn't exist unless they needed someone to blame. My grandmother's casket was covered in white roses, her favorite. I'd sent them anonymously because I knew if my family discovered I'd paid for anything, they'd have them removed. That's how invisible I was. That's how unwanted. Such a tragedy. I heard someone whisper behind me. Margaret was such a wonderful woman. I heard she left everything to her son Robert and his family. I didn't correct them. I didn't say anything. I'd learned a long time ago that silence was my only defense in a family that rewrote history to suit their narrative. My sister Vanessa, beautiful, charming, manipulative Vanessa, was giving the eulogy now. Her voice trembled with emotion as she spoke about our beloved Nana and how she taught them about family values and unconditional love. I almost laughed. Almost. Because Vanessa had visited Grandma Margaret exactly twice in the last 5 years. Both times to ask for money. I'd been there every week. Sometimes twice a week. I'd held Grandma's hand through her chemotherapy. I'd read her favorite books to her when her eyes got too tired. I'd braided her thinning hair and told her stories about my work at the community center, teaching kids from broken homes that they mattered, that they were seen. Grandma Margaret saw me. She was the only one who ever did. Elena, she'd whispered to me 3 weeks before she passed, her papery hand gripping mine with surprising strength. They're going to be very surprised, sweetheart. Very surprised indeed. I hadn't understood what she meant. Not then. The service ended, and everyone filed out to the cemetery. I hung back, waiting until the crowd thinned. That's when I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned to find myself looking into eyes I hadn't seen in 12 years. Eyes that still made my heart skip exactly the way they did when we were 22. Elena? His voice was deeper now, roughened by time and whatever life had thrown at him. Is that really you? Marcus. His name came out as barely more than a breath. Marcus Chun. My first love. My only love, if I'm being honest. The boy, now man, my family had driven away with their cruel words and classist attitudes. The unsuitable boyfriend who wasn't rich enough, connected enough, white enough for their precious daughter. I'd chosen my family over him. The biggest mistake of my life. I didn't know you knew my grandmother, I managed to say. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe guilt. There's a lot you don't know, Elena. A lot that's about to change. Before I could ask what he meant, my mother's shrill voice cut through the air like nails on a chalkboard. Elena, what are you doing here? Lurking in the shadows, as always. How appropriate. I watched Marcus's jaw tighten. Some things never changed. I'm attending my grandmother's funeral, Mother. Same as you. My mother's laugh was sharp and cold. Your grandmother? Darling, you barely knew the woman. Now come along. Vanessa needs you to help set up for the reception at the house. Try to make yourself useful for once. I felt Marcus move closer, his presence solid and protective beside me. Actually, Mrs. Hartwell, Elena needs to stay. The lawyer specifically requested her presence for the reading of the will. The color drained from my mother's face. That's impossible. There must be some mistake. No mistake, Marcus said calmly. And then he smiled, a small, knowing smile that made my stomach flip. I'm the lawyer. The funeral was just the beginning. What happened next would tear my family apart and give me everything I never knew I deserved. My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. You? You're Margaret's lawyer? Marcus pulled a business card from his suit jacket. Expensive, I noticed. Everything about him screamed success, from his tailored suit to the confidence in his posture. This wasn't the struggling college student my family had mocked and dismissed. This was a man who'd built something, who'd become something. Marcus Chun, estate planning attorney, Chun and Associates, he said smoothly, handing the card to my mother. She took it like it might burn her. I've been Mrs. Hartwell's attorney for the past 8 years. She was very specific about her wishes. 8 years. The words escaped before I could stop them. But Grandma never said. Marcus's eyes found mine, and in them I saw an apology. She made me promise not to tell you. Said she had her reasons. My father had appeared now, his face red and bloated. Years of expensive scotch and entitlement had not been kind to him. Now see here, young man. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but Margaret was my mother. Her affairs are family business. Exactly, Mr. Hartwell, Marcus replied coolly. Which is why Elena needs to be present. She is family, after all. Or, did you forget? The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Vanessa clutched my mother's arm, her perfect composure finally cracking. Daddy, what's he talking about? You said Nana left everything to you. You said we were getting the house, the investments, everything. We are, sweetheart, my father blustered, but I could see the uncertainty creeping into his eyes. This is just a formality. Some old woman's sentiment. Nothing that will actually matter. Marcus checked his watch. The reading is scheduled for 3 o'clock at my office downtown. Elena, I can give you a ride if you need one. She has a car, my mother snapped. That ancient Honda she's been driving since college. Though how she affords even that on a community center salary is beyond me. I felt the old shame trying to creep in, the familiar weight of never being enough. But then Marcus spoke again, his voice carrying across the emptying parking lot. Actually, Elena's been doing quite well for herself. Her nonprofit just received a substantial grant. I helped review the paperwork. Very impressive work. I stared at him. I hadn't told anyone about the grant. It wasn't finalized yet. How did he? 3 o'clock, Marcus repeated, his eyes locked on mine. Don't be late, Elena. This is important. He walked away, leaving me standing there with my family's barely concealed fury radiating around me like toxic fumes. You've been plotting something, Vanessa hissed, stepping close enough that I could smell her expensive perfume. You've been weaseling your way into Nana's good graces, poisoning her against us. I visited her, I said quietly. Every week. When was the last time you did, Vanessa? Her hand moved so fast, I barely saw it coming. The slap echoed across the parking lot, sharp and vicious. My cheek burned, my eyes watered. But I didn't move, didn't give her the satisfaction. How dare you, she breathed. How dare you pretend to be better than us? You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A disappointment from the day you were born. That's enough, Vanessa, my father said, but there was no real conviction in his voice. He'd been saying the same things to me for years, just in more subtle ways. I touched my stinging cheek and looked at the three of them. These people who shared my blood, but had never shared my life. I'll see you at 3 o'clock. I walked to my car. Yes, my ancient Honda, and sat in the driver's seat with shaking hands. Through the windshield, I could see my family huddled together, my mother's arms around Vanessa, my father's face twisted with rage, and something else. Fear, maybe. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Are you okay? I saw what happened. I looked around and spotted Marcus in a sleek black Mercedes, parked 3 rows over. He raised his hand in a small wave. I typed back with trembling fingers. "Why didn't you tell me you knew her? That you'd been her lawyer?" The response came quickly. "Because she made me promise. She wanted to protect you from them until the time was right. Elena, there's so much you don't know. So much she kept hidden to keep you safe." Safe from what? From them. From the truth about what they've been doing with her money for years. From knowing how much she fought for you when you weren't there to see it. Tears blurred my vision. "I don't understand." "You will. 3 o'clock. My office. Come alone, Elena. Trust me. Please." I looked back at my family, still huddled together, already strategizing. Already planning how to cut me out, discredit me, erase me like they'd been doing my entire life. Something hardened in my chest. Something that felt a lot like resolve. "I'll be there," I typed. I started my car and drove away from the cemetery, away from my grandmother's grave, toward whatever truth Marcus was about to reveal. My hands were still shaking, but for the first time in my life, I wasn't shaking from fear. I was shaking from anticipation. At 3 o'clock, I would learn the truth. And my family would learn that invisible daughters can become impossible to ignore. Marcus's office was nothing like I expected. The building was sleek glass and steel in the heart of downtown, with his name listed in the directory as Senior Partner, Estate Law Division. The lobby had that quiet, expensive feel that spoke of serious money and serious clients. The girl I'd loved at 22 had fallen for a struggling law student working 3 jobs to pay his tuition. The man waiting upstairs had built an empire. And my family had driven him away because he wasn't good enough. The irony wasn't lost on me. The receptionist, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, smiled when I gave my name. "Ms. Hartwell, Mr. Chen said to send you straight back as soon as you arrived. Conference room B. Would you like some coffee? Tea? Water would be great. Thank you." She handed me a bottle of imported sparkling water. Even the water here was expensive, and gestured down the hallway. "Third door on your left. Take your time. The others haven't arrived yet." I walked slowly, taking in the framed degrees on the walls, the photographs of Marcus with clients, awards, community service recognitions. He'd done more than just survive after we broke up. He'd thrived. While I'd shrunk myself smaller and smaller trying to earn scraps of approval from people who would never give it. The conference room took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive mahogany table dominated the center, and at the head of that table sat Marcus, reviewing documents with a kind of focused intensity one remembered from our study sessions in college. He looked up when I entered, and his entire face softened. "Elena, you came. Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure. Your family can be persuasive." I closed the door behind me and leaned against it. "Marcus, what's going on? What did my grandmother do?" He stood, walked around the table, and stopped a few feet away from me, close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, far enough to maintain professional distance. "She protected you. In every way she could." From what? From them. From their debts, their schemes, their endless grasping. "Elena, did you know your parents have been borrowing money from your grandmother for the past 15 years? I blinked. Borrowing? Borrowing is a generous term. Taking is more accurate. Your father's company has been bleeding money for a decade. Bad investments, expensive tastes, keeping up appearances. Your mother's shopping addiction has racked up over $300,000 in credit card debt. Vanessa has been borrowing money monthly for her lifestyle, the designer clothes, the luxury apartment, the European vacations. My legs felt weak. I moved to a chair and sank into it. But they always said they told me they were successful. that they were disappointed in my choices because I was wasting my potential. Marcus's expression was something between anger and pity. They were projecting. Your grandmother knew. She saw everything. And 8 years ago, after your father tried to pressure her into signing over her house so he could use it as collateral for another failing business venture, she came to me. He pulled a file from his briefcase and slid it across the table. She'd heard I was back in town, that I'd made partner at a good firm. She specifically sought me out because she knew I'd never been influenced by your family's charm. I opened the file with shaking hands. Inside were bank statements, loan documents, promissory notes. Hundreds of pages documenting years of my family draining my grandmother's accounts. She kept giving them money? I whispered. She kept detailed records. Marcus corrected. Every dollar was documented as a loan with interest, payment terms, the works. Legally binding contracts that your father signed. She told them it was to help family, to be paid back when times were better. But they never paid her back. Not a cent. And the total, with interest, comes to over $2.3 million. The number hit me like a physical blow. 2.3 million. Yes. Marcus sat down across from me, his expression serious. Your grandmother was a smart woman, Elena. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was building a paper trail, evidence, and a way to protect you. Protect me how? He pulled out another document. This one had my name on it. 3 months ago, your grandmother rewrote her will. She left you everything. The house, the investments, the savings accounts. Everything except the debts your family owes her estate. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Everything. Everything. Including the right to call in those loans immediately upon her death. Which, according to the terms your father agreed to, means if the loans are called and not paid within 30 days, the borrowers forfeit any claim to the estate and accept full legal responsibility for the debt. But that would bankrupt them. Yes. Marcus leaned forward. Elena, your grandmother knew they'd been telling you that you were getting nothing. She knew they'd been planning to cut you out completely. She wanted you to have the choice. Choice. You can forgive the debts. Let them go. Give your family a fresh start and keep what's left of the estate, which is still substantial. Or, he paused. You can call in the loans. Force them to pay every penny they owe, with interest. Make them face consequences for once in their entitled lives. Before I could process any of this, the conference room door burst open. My father stormed in like he owned the place, my mother and Vanessa close behind. All right, enough of this circus, my father boomed. Let's get this reading over with, so we can all go home. Marcus stood slowly, every inch the professional attorney. Mr. Hartwell, please have a seat. All of you. They arranged themselves on the opposite side of the table from me, a united front against the black sheep. My mother wouldn't even look at me. Vanessa stared daggers. This won't take long, my father said confidently. I'm the executor of my mother's estate as her only child. Whatever paperwork needs signing, let's get to it. Marcus opened a thick folder. Actually, Mr. Hartwell, your mother changed the executor of her estate 2 years ago. Elena is now the sole executor and primary beneficiary. The silence that followed was deafening. The explosion that came next would shatter everything my family thought they knew. And I would have to decide who I really was, the invisible daughter who took scraps or the woman who demanded justice. I looked at my father, really looked at him, maybe for the first time in years. He'd aged badly, his face lined with stress and poor choices, his eyes hollow with fear. This was the man who'd missed my college graduation because Vanessa had a beauty pageant that day. The man who'd forgotten my birthday more times than he'd remembered it. The man who'd told me I was wasting my potential when I chose nonprofit work over corporate law. He was terrified.
And he wanted me to save him.
What do I want? I repeated softly. That's an interesting question, Dad. You've never asked me that before. Elena, please. My mother's voice cracked. We're family.
Blood.
You can't seriously be considering destroying you? I finished. Ruining you? Taking everything you thought was yours. Vanessa looked up, mascara streaking her face. For a moment, I saw something in her expression that might have been genuine fear, maybe even remorse. But then her lip curled. You're enjoying this. You always were jealous of us. The laugh that escaped me was sharp and bitter. Jealous? Vanessa, I'm not jealous. I'm tired. I'm so incredibly tired of pretending that the way you treated me was okay. That I deserved it. That I was somehow less than you because I chose compassion over cruelty. I stood up, my hands flat on the conference table. Do you know what Grandma Margaret told me the last time I saw her? She said, Elena, people will show you who they are over and over again. Believe them the first time, but forgive yourself for hoping they'd change. So, you're going to punish us because we weren't perfect? My father's voice rose. Because we made mistakes? Mistakes? Marcus spoke up, his voice cutting. Mr. Hartwell, you spent 15 years systematically draining your mother's accounts while simultaneously telling Elena she was a financial burden and a disappointment. That's not a mistake. That's systematic abuse. You stay out of this. My father pointed at Marcus. This is family business. I am part of this business, Marcus replied calmly. As the executor of this estate and Elena's attorney, I'm absolutely part of this business. Her attorney? My mother's eyes widened. When did you?
This morning, Marcus said.
Elena retained my services. Pro bono, I might add, though she insisted on paying. She has integrity, you see. She understands that actions have consequences and debts must be paid. The emphasis wasn't lost on anyone in the room. I took a deep breath. I'm not going to decide right now. Marcus, what's the legal time frame? You have 60 days to determine how to handle the debt, he replied. The estate can't be fully settled until that decision is made. 60 days. My father looked like he might have a heart attack. We can't wait 60 days. We have bills, obligations. Then I suggest you start liquidating assets, Marcus said. Downsize. Sell the cars, the vacation home, the country club membership. Figure out what actual financial responsibility looks like. Vanessa gasped. You can't expect us to give up everything. Why not? I asked quietly. You expected me to live on nothing. You mocked my car, my apartment, my job. You told me I was wasteful and lazy because I couldn't afford designer handbags. But I was never in debt. I never borrowed money I couldn't pay back. I never lied or manipulated or stole. We didn't steal. My mother was indignant. Those were loans. That you never intended to repay, Marcus interjected. I've reviewed your financial records, Mrs. Hartwell. The ones you provided to the IRS. There's no indication you ever budgeted for repayment. In fact, your spending increased after each loan. The implications hung in the air. Tax fraud. Financial fraud. The kind of crimes that carried serious consequences. My father seemed to shrink in his chair. What do you want from us, Elena? I want you to understand what you did to me, I said, my voice shaking now. Every day of my childhood, you made me feel invisible. Not good enough. Not pretty enough. Not smart enough. Not valuable enough. And I believed you. For years, I believed you. Tears were flowing freely now, and I didn't try to stop them. I stayed in a job I was overqualified for because I didn't think I deserved better. I lived in a tiny apartment because I thought I didn't deserve nice things. I drove an old car because I thought wanting more was greedy. I made myself small because you taught me that was all I deserved to be. Elena, my mother started, but I held up my hand. Grandma Margaret saw me, really saw me, and she left me this inheritance not because she hated you, but because she loved me, because she wanted me to know that I was worthy, that I mattered, that I deserved to take up space in the world. I looked at each of them in turn. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Maybe I'll forgive the debt and let you start over. Maybe I'll call in every penny and watch you face consequences for the first time in your privileged lives. I honestly don't know. But here's what I do know, I continued, my voice stronger now. I'm done being invisible. I'm done making myself small to make you comfortable. And I'm done pretending that blood relation means I owe you anything when you've given me nothing but pain. I picked up my bag. Marcus will be in touch. I suggest you spend the next 60 days thinking about how you want to approach this. Because I promise you, how you treat me during this time will absolutely influence my decision. I walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. The house, Grandma's house. I'm moving in next week. I'd appreciate it if you could remove any personal items you might have left there before then. I'll have Marcus coordinate a time. That's our family home, Vanessa cried. No, I said softly. It's my home now. You're welcome to visit. If you're invited. I walked out of the conference room with my head held high, leaving my family's shocked silence behind me. Marcus caught up with me at the elevator. Elena, wait. I turned to face him, suddenly aware of how close we were standing. How good he smelled. How much I'd missed him. That was incredibly brave, he said quietly. Your grandmother would have been proud. I don't feel brave. I feel like I'm going to throw up. He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes and made my heart skip. That's how you know you did something important. The fear comes after the courage. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I should have stepped inside, but I couldn't make myself move away from him. Marcus, why did you really take my grandmother's case? After everything that happened between us. His expression softened. Because she asked me to. Because she told me her granddaughter was doing beautiful work and deserved protection. Because she showed me pictures of you at the community center, surrounded by kids who adored you, and I realized you'd become exactly who you were always meant to be. And because I never stopped caring about you, Elena. Even after 12 years. Even after everything. The elevator doors started to close. He caught them, held them open. I have to go, I whispered, even though every cell in my body wanted to stay. I know. But Elena, whatever you decide about your family, decide for yourself. Not for them. Not for me. Not for your grandmother's memory. For you. I stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, I saw him standing there, watching me with those eyes that had seen me, really seen me, when we were too young to know what we had. The next 60 days would change everything. But first, I had to figure out who I wanted to be. The daughter who made peace, or the woman who demanded justice. Grandma Margaret's house sat on a tree-lined street in the old money part of town, the kind of neighborhood where my family had always pretended to belong but never quite fit. Victorian architecture, wraparound porch, stained glass windows that threw rainbow patterns across the hardwood floors when the afternoon sun hit just right. I'd spent countless hours here as a child before my parents decided I wasn't worth their time. Before I learned to make myself invisible. Now it was mine. The moving truck looked ridiculous in front of the elegant house. Everything I owned fit into one small truck and my Honda. A decade of making myself small, contained in cardboard boxes and trash bags. Where do you want this, miss? The mover held up a box labeled Kitchen, Goodwill Dishes. Just set it in the garage for now, I said. I won't need most of this anymore. Because the house was fully furnished. Because Grandma Margaret had left everything, the antique dishes I'd always admired, the Egyptian cotton linens, the kitchen equipment I'd only dreamed of owning. She'd left me a whole life, perfectly preserved, waiting for me to step into it. I was directing the movers when a familiar black Mercedes pulled up. Marcus emerged carrying two things, a bottle of wine and a file folder. The wine made me smile. The folder made my stomach drop. Thought you could use both, he said, climbing the porch steps. The wine is celebratory. The folder is complicated. Of course it is. I took both, leading him inside. The house smelled like lemon polish and old memories. Tell me the complicated part first. Marcus hesitated, his eyes scanning the familiar space. Your father filed an emergency injunction this morning. He's trying to freeze the estate assets pending a competency evaluation of your grandmother's mental state when she wrote the will. I set the wine down carefully on the entry table, an expensive antique that was now mine. I reminded myself. Can he do that? He can try. He won't succeed. We have ironclad documentation of her mental competency, but it will delay things. Cost money in legal fees. Make everything harder. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Elena, I need to be straight with you. This is going to get ugly. They're going to fight every step of the way. Let them fight. I was surprised by the steel in my own voice. I've been fighting for their approval my entire life. I know how to fight. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Or admiration.
Good.
Because there's more. He opened the folder, pulling out photographs. My stomach twisted as I recognized them. Pictures of me. Dozens of them. At the community center with the kids. At the grocery store. Walking to my car after work. Taken from a distance, grainy but unmistakable. Your sister hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago, Marcus said quietly. She's been building a case to prove you manipulated your grandmother, isolated her from the family, coerced her into changing the will. My hands shook as I flipped through the photos. But I didn't. I visited her. We had lunch. We talked. I know. And the investigator's report actually proves that. It shows you visiting regularly, staying for hours, bringing groceries, helping with yard work. It shows your grandmother lucid, happy, engaged. It proves exactly the opposite of what Vanessa was hoping to find. So, why are you showing me this? Marcus's jaw tightened. Because the investigator also documented something else. Your sister has been trying to access your grandmother's medical records illegally. She's been contacting the nursing home where your grandmother stayed during her final weeks, offering money for information about her mental state. That's illegal. Extremely. And I've already reported it to the State Bar Association and local authorities. But Elena, you need to understand what you're up against. Your family isn't just fighting for money. They're fighting for their entire sense of identity. They've built their lives on the illusion of wealth and status. Without your grandmother's money propping them up, that illusion collapses. I walked to the window, looking out at the neighborhood I'd never quite belonged to. What happens if they can't pay the debt? Bankruptcy. Liquidation of assets. Your father's company goes under. It's already barely surviving. Your mother loses the house, the cars, her lifestyle. Vanessa. He paused. Vanessa's situation is actually worse than your parents'. She has personal credit card debt exceeding $200,000. When this becomes public, she'll be ruined. Good, I said, then immediately felt guilty for feeling it. Don't. Marcus crossed to stand beside me. Don't feel bad for wanting justice. They spent your entire life making you feel guilty for existing. You're allowed to want them to face consequences. But they're my family. Family doesn't treat people the way they've treated you. His voice was fierce. Family doesn't make someone feel invisible. Family doesn't mock and belittle and dismiss. Elena, what they did to you was abuse. Emotional, psychological abuse. You're allowed to be angry about it. I turned to face him, and suddenly we were inches apart. I could see the flecks of gold in his eyes, the barely contained emotion in his expression. Why do you care so much? I whispered. After everything, after 12 years. Why do you care what happens to me? Because you deserved better then, and you deserve better now.
His voice was rough.
Because watching you choose them over me broke something in me, but watching them break you breaks me even more. Because... His phone rang, shattering the moment. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his expression darkened. It's your mother. She's been calling every hour since yesterday. Don't answer it. I have to. I'm your attorney. Everything needs to be documented. He stepped away, putting the phone on speaker. Marcus Chen. My mother's voice filled the room, sugary sweet with an undercurrent of desperation. Mr. Chen, hello. I was hoping we could schedule a meeting, just the family, to discuss this situation rationally. Any discussions need to include Elena, Marcus replied coolly. She's the executor of the estate. Of course, of course. I could hear the forced smile in her voice. I was thinking perhaps a family dinner? At our home? We could all sit down like civilized people and work this out. I shook my head violently. Marcus's expression was carefully neutral. I'll discuss it with my client and get back to you. Tell her. My mother's voice cracked slightly, the sugar coating slipping. Tell her we love her. Tell her we're sorry if we ever made her feel unwelcome. Tell her family should stay together. Marcus looked at me. I could see the question in his eyes. What do you want me to say? I took the phone from him. Mom, silence. Then, carefully, Elena, sweetheart. I'm so glad you're there. I'm not coming to dinner. I'm not sitting down for a civilized discussion where you gaslight me into giving up everything Grandma left me. That's not. We would never. You've been doing it my entire life, I said, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. Making me doubt myself. Making me question my worth. Making me think I was the problem when it was always you. Elena, please. We can fix this. We can be a real family. We were never a real family, Mom. Real families don't treat each other the way you treated me. Real families don't drain their elderly mother dry and then act surprised when she protects the one person who actually loved her. I could hear her crying now. I did love her. I do love you. I know I wasn't a good mother, but I can change. We can all change. Maybe you can, but I'm not waiting around to find out anymore. I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly that Marcus had to take the phone from me. That was brave, he said softly. That was terrifying. I sank onto Grandma's couch, my couch now. What if I'm making a mistake? What if they really do want to change? Marcus sat beside me, careful not to touch, but close enough that I could feel his warmth. Elena, in my experience, people don't change unless they have to. And even then, most of them don't. Your family has had 34 years to treat you better. They chose not to. So what do? You do what's right for you. Not what's easy. Not what makes them happy. What's right for you. I looked around the house, the home my grandmother had left me. The physical manifestation of someone seeing me, valuing me, believing I deserved beautiful things and a beautiful life. I want to keep fighting, I said quietly. I want them to face consequences. But I'm scared, Marcus. I'm scared of becoming like them. Vindictive. There's a difference between cruelty and boundaries, he replied. Cruelty is what they did to you. Boundaries are what you're doing now. You're not punishing them. You're protecting yourself and honoring your grandmother's wishes. A knock at the door interrupted us. Through the window, I could see a delivery truck. Marcus went to answer it while I tried to pull myself together. He returned carrying an enormous flower arrangement. These are for you. The card read, "To new beginnings and old memories. Welcome home, sweetheart. Grandma Margaret." I started crying again.
She planned this.
Before she died, she arranged for flowers to be delivered when I moved in. Marcus smiled sadly. She planned everything. She wanted you to know you were loved, that you were seen, that you mattered. I held the card against my chest, crying in my grandmother's house, my house, while Marcus sat quietly beside me, not trying to fix it, not making me feel guilty for my emotions, just being there, just seeing me. The war with my family was just beginning, but for the first time in my life, I wasn't fighting alone. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal documents, phone calls, and increasingly desperate messages from my family. My father's lawyers filed motion after motion. My mother showed up at the house twice, crying on the porch until I called the police. Vanessa started a whisper campaign in the community, telling anyone who would listen that I'd manipulated a sick old woman. But something else was happening too. Something I hadn't expected. People started coming forward. First it was Mrs. Chun, no relation to Marcus, who lived 3 houses down. She appeared at my door with a casserole and a story about how my grandmother had paid for her granddaughter's surgery when insurance fell through. She made me promise never to tell your father, Mrs. Chun said, her eyes fierce. She said he'd just ask for the money back for himself. Then it was the owner of the corner grocery store, who told me Grandma Margaret had been quietly paying for groceries for elderly neighbors on fixed incomes. She'd come in every month with a list of names and hand me cash. Said it was between us and God. The stories kept coming. The single mother whose rent Grandma had covered when she lost her job. The veteran whose medical bills she'd paid. The teenager whose college application fees she'd funded. My grandmother had been secretly giving away thousands of dollars to people who actually needed it, while my family bled her dry for luxuries and status symbols. There's more, Marcus said when I told him about the stories. We were sitting in his office, going over the latest filings. He'd been working late every night on my case, refusing to charge me despite my protests. I found something in your grandmother's papers. He slid a leather journal across the desk. I recognized it immediately. Grandma's handwriting, her distinctive purple ink. She kept detailed notes about every interaction with your family for the past 10 years, Marcus explained. Conversations, requests for money, promises to pay it back. But also, he flipped to a marked page. She wrote about you. I picked up the journal with trembling hands and read. Elena came today. She didn't ask for anything, she never does. She brought me tulips from the farmer's market and we made tea and talked about her work with the children. She's so good with them, so patient and kind. She gets that from her grandfather, not from my son. She has no idea how special she is, how much she's worth. Robert and Catherine have spent years convincing her she's worthless, and my beautiful granddaughter believes them. It breaks my heart. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make sure that when I'm gone, she knows the truth. That she was always the one. Always the worthy one. Always my heart. I couldn't see the rest through my tears. Marcus waited while I cried, then handed me a tissue. There are 73 entries about you in that journal. Want to know how many there are about Vanessa? I shook my head.
5.
And 4 of them are about her asking for money. He leaned back in his chair. Elena, your grandmother left you a paper trail that proves systematic abuse. We could use this if you wanted to. We could bury your family in their own documented cruelty. But you need to decide if that's who you want to be. If you want to win by destroying them, or win by building something better. Before I could answer, his assistant knocked on the door. Mr. Chin? There's someone here to see Ms. Hartwell. Says it's urgent. A Ms. Vanessa Hartwell. Marcus and I exchanged glances. Send her in, I said. Vanessa walked in looking nothing like the polished, perfect sister I'd known my entire life. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, wearing jeans and a simple sweater. She looked young and scared and almost human. Elena. Her voice cracked. Can we talk? Alone. Marcus looked at me. I nodded. It's okay. I'll be fine. He stood reluctantly. I'll be right outside. You shout if you need me. After he left, Vanessa and I stared at each other across the desk. Finally, she spoke. I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to manipulate you. I'm here because I need you to hear something. I'm listening. She took a deep breath. You were right. About everything. We treated you horribly. I treated you horribly. And I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway because... She paused, tears streaming down her face. Because it was easier to make you the problem than to face what we really were. Which was bankrupt. Morally, financially, emotionally bankrupt. Dad's business has been failing for years. Mom's been shoplifting to support her shopping addiction. Did you know that? She has 3 pending charges at department stores. And me? She laughed bitterly. I'm a 32-year-old woman with no job skills, no education, and $200,000 in credit card debt from trying to look successful on Instagram. I didn't know what to say. We were horrible to you because you were everything we pretended to be, Vanessa continued. Actually kind. Actually educated. Actually making a difference in the world. And instead of being proud of you, we resented you. We made you feel small because we felt small. Why are you telling me this? Because you're going to win. Whether you forgive the debt or call it in, you're going to win. And I want you to know that you deserve to win. That Nana was right about you. She wiped her eyes. And I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry for every mean word, every cruel joke, every time I made you feel like you didn't matter. She stood up to leave, then turned back. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that whatever you decide, I won't fight it. I'm done fighting. After she left, I sat in silence, staring at the journal still open on the desk. Marcus knocked softly and came back in. You okay? I don't know what I am. I looked up at him. She apologized. She actually apologized. People can surprise you when they hit rock bottom. Is it enough? Does one apology make up for 30 years of abuse? Marcus sat on the edge of the desk, close enough to touch. That's not for me to decide. Only you can decide what's enough. What would you do? I'd remember that apologies are easy when someone has nothing left to lose. I'd watch actions, not words. And I'd protect myself first.
He paused.
But I'd also remember that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Grandma left me a choice. Forgive or fight. And I still don't know which one honors her memory more. Maybe it's not about honoring her memory, Marcus said quietly. Maybe it's about honoring yourself. I turned to face him. When did you get so wise? Around the same time I lost you and realized that some lessons cost everything to learn. His expression was raw, vulnerable. Elena, I need to tell you something.
What?
I didn't just take your grandmother's case because she asked. I took it because it was a chance to be part of your life again, even from a distance. I took it because I never stopped.
His phone rang.
He looked at the screen and his face went pale. It's the hospital. It's your father. My father was in the ICU. My mother was hysterical. And I had less than an hour to decide if I was the daughter who showed up or the woman who finally walked away. The emergency room waiting area smelled like antiseptic and desperation. My mother sat in a plastic chair, mascara streaked down her face, looking older than I'd ever seen her. Vanessa stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold herself together. They both looked up when I walked in. Marcus was right behind me, a solid presence at my back. Elena. My mother's voice broke. You came. What happened? Heart attack. Vanessa's voice was hollow. Massive. They're doing emergency surgery now, the doctors said. She couldn't finish. I should have felt something. Panic, fear, grief. Instead, I felt numb. Like I was watching this happen to someone else's family. How long ago? Marcus asked, ever practical. 2 hours. We've been calling you. My phone was off. I turned it off deliberately, tired of the constant harassment. Nobody left a message saying it was an emergency. My mother stood up, reaching for me. I stepped back. She noticed. Her hands dropped. Elena, please. He's your father. Whatever anger you have, whatever grudges, can't you just what, Mom? Pretend the last 30 years didn't happen? Pretend he didn't spend my entire life making me feel worthless. He's dying. Her voice rose to a shriek. Several other families in the waiting room turned to stare. Mrs. Hartwell, Marcus said quietly but firmly, you need to calm down, or I'll have security escort you outside. She rounded on him. This is your fault. You turned her against us. You poisoned her with your revenge because of some college romance from a decade ago. Mom, stop. Vanessa's voice was quiet but cutting. This isn't Marcus's fault. It's not Elena's fault. It's our fault. We did this. We did not cause your father to have a heart attack. No, Vanessa said, but we caused everything that led to it. The stress, the debt, the lies. We did that. A doctor emerged from the surgical wing, still in scrubs. Family of Robert Hartwell? We all rushed over. The doctor looked tired. He's stable for now. The surgery went well, but the next 24 hours are critical. He's going to need significant lifestyle changes. Less stress, better diet, probably can't work the same way he has been. Can we see him? My mother asked. 2 at a time. He's sedated but might be able to hear you. The doctor looked at me. Are you Elena? I blinked. Yes. He was asking for you. Before they put him under. Kept saying your name. Something cracked in my chest. The numbness gave way to a flood of emotion I wasn't prepared for. You should go, Vanessa said softly. Mom and I can wait. My mother looked like she wanted to argue, but Vanessa put a hand on her arm. Let her go, Mom. Let her have this. Marcus squeezed my hand. I'll be right here. I followed the doctor through the maze of hallways to the ICU. My father looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting him to machines that beeped rhythmically. His face was gray, slack, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen him. The nurse smiled sympathetically. I'll give you some privacy. Press the call button if you need anything. I stood at the foot of the bed, unsure what to do, what to feel. This man had crushed my spirit systematically, methodically, for as long as I could remember. And now he lay here, broken and fragile, looking nothing like the monster who'd haunted my childhood. I don't know what to say to you, I whispered. I don't even know if you can hear me. His eyelids fluttered but didn't open. The doctors say you need less stress, that you can't keep living the way you've been living. Which is ironic, because that's what Grandma was trying to tell you for years, wasn't it? That you needed to stop.
To change.
To be better. I moved closer, sitting in the chair beside his bed. I spent my whole life trying to make you proud. Trying to be good enough. Smart enough. Valuable enough. And no matter what I did, it was never enough. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? The machines beeped their steady rhythm. Grandma saw me. She saw me and she loved me exactly as I was. And you hated that, didn't you? You hated that she gave me what you never could. My voice broke. I wanted you to love me, Dad. That's all I ever wanted.
Just to matter to you.
You did. The voice was barely a whisper. I jumped, looking at his face. His eyes were open now, unfocused but seeing me. You did matter, he repeated, his voice slurred from medication. But I was too proud.
Too angry.
Too much like my father. What? My father, he hated me. Nothing I did was ever good enough. So, I did the same to you. A tear slid down his face. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. I sat frozen, unable to process what I was hearing. Your mother, she wanted a perfect family. Perfect daughter. You weren't perfect. You were real. And we punished you for it. Dad. Don't forgive me. His hand moved slightly, like he was trying to reach for me but didn't have the strength. Don't forgive any of us. We don't deserve it. But know that you were always enough. Always. It was me who was lacking.
Not you.
Never you. His eyes closed again. The machines continued their rhythmic beeping. A nurse appeared at my shoulder. He needs to rest now, she said gently. You can come back later. I stood on shaky legs and walked out of the ICU in a daze. Marcus was waiting right where I'd left him. Elena? What happened? He apologized. The words felt surreal.
He said I mattered.
That it was never my fault. Marcus's expression was complicated, relief mixed with skepticism. How do you feel? I don't know. I don't know if I believe him. I don't know if one apology in a hospital bed makes up for everything. I don't know if people really change, or if they just say what they need to say to survive. Those are all valid questions. I looked at my mother and Vanessa, still huddled in the waiting room. My broken, flawed, deeply damaged family. I need air, I said suddenly. I need to get out of here. Marcus nodded, taking my hand and leading me through the maze of corridors to the parking garage. We stood next to his car in the flickering fluorescent light, and I finally let myself fall apart. He held me while I cried, for the childhood I never had, for the father who finally saw me when he thought he was dying, for the family that might have been if we'd all been braver, kinder, better. What do I do? Asked when I could finally speak again. What's the right choice? Marcus cupped my face in his hands, making me look at him. There is no right choice, Elena. There's only your choice. What do you want? I took a shaky breath. I want to build something good with what Grandma left me. I want to help people the way she did. I want to stop carrying this anger around like armor. That sounds like forgiveness. Maybe. Or maybe it's just letting go. Moving forward. I don't know if I can forgive them, but I think I can stop letting them define me. Marcus smiled, that beautiful, genuine smile that had made me fall for him 12 years ago. That sounds perfect. There's something else I want, I said quietly. What? A second chance. With you. If you'll take one with me. He kissed me. Soft at first, then deeper. 12 years of longing and regret and hope pouring into that single moment. When we finally pulled apart, we were both crying. I never stopped loving you, he whispered. Not once in 12 years. I was an idiot to let you go. You were young. You were scared. You were trying to survive. He rested his forehead against mine. But, Elena, if we do this, if we try again, I need to know you're choosing me. Not using me as an escape. Not as revenge against your family. Choosing me because you want me. I want you, I said. I choose you. I choose us. We stood there in the hospital parking garage, holding each other, while my father fought for his life upstairs and my future stretched out before me full of possibility and promise. I still had to make my final decision about the inheritance. But for the first time, I knew exactly who I was making that decision for, myself. 3 weeks later, my father was released from the hospital with a long list of medications and an even longer list of lifestyle changes he needed to make. My mother had aged 10 years in those 3 weeks. Vanessa had started therapy, and I had made my decision. Marcus's office was full this time. My family sat on one side of the conference table, their lawyer, a harried-looking man named Peterson, beside them. Marcus and I sat on the other side. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady. "I know the past month has been difficult for everyone."
My father looked at me.
He'd lost weight, looked frail, but there was something different in his eyes. Something that might have been respect. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about what Grandma Margaret wanted," I continued. "About what justice means. About what family means. About who I want to be." My mother's hands were clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. "I've decided to forgive the debt." The collective exhale in the room was audible. My mother started crying. Vanessa closed her eyes in relief. "However," I continued, and everyone froze, "there are conditions." "Conditions?" Peterson, their lawyer, looked wary. I slid papers across the table. "The house, your house, where you've been living, has a second mortgage you took out 3 years ago without telling Grandma. That loan is in default. The bank is beginning foreclosure proceedings." My father's face went white. "I'm going to pay off that mortgage. The house will be transferred into a trust. You can live there for the rest of your lives, but you can't sell it, can't take loans against it, can't use it as collateral. When you're gone, it reverts to a foundation I'm setting up in Grandma's name to help families in need." "Elena," my mother started. "I'm not finished. Dad, your company is drowning in debt. I'm not going to bail it out. You need to file for bankruptcy and start over. Actually start over, not just shuffle money around and pretend everything's fine." My father nodded slowly. "I understand. Mom, you're going to enter treatment for your shopping addiction. Real treatment at a facility I've already vetted. If you don't complete the program, the house trust is dissolved and you're on your own." My mother looked shocked but nodded. "Vanessa." I looked at my sister. "You're the complicated one. You're 32 years old with no job skills and massive debt. I'm going to pay off your credit cards. All of them." Her eyes widened. "Elena, you don't have to. I'm not done. In exchange, you're going to work. Real work. I'm hiring you at the foundation I'm setting up, starting at entry-level, minimum wage. You're going to learn what it means to earn something instead of having it handed to you. If you work hard, you'll advance. If you don't, you're fired. No special treatment." Vanessa looked like she might cry. "I'll work hard. I promise." "Those are my conditions," I said. "You get a fresh start, but you have to actually take it. You have to do the work. You have to change." My father spoke, his voice rough with emotion.
"Why?"
"After everything we did to you, why would you give us this?" I thought about Grandma Margaret, about her quiet generosity, about how she'd given to people who needed help, not people who demanded it. Because Grandma taught me that holding on to anger only hurts the person carrying it. Because I want to build something good, not tear something down. And because I paused, choosing my words carefully. because maybe it's not too late for all of us to be better than we were. My mother stood up and walked around the table. I tensed, unsure what was coming. She knelt beside my chair, taking my hands in hers. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being better than us, for being more than we ever taught you to be." "I need you to understand something, Mom," I said quietly. "This isn't forgiveness.
Not yet.
This is a chance. What you do with it is up to you." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand." The lawyers drew up the paperwork. Everyone signed. My family left the office looking shell-shocked but hopeful. When we were finally alone, Marcus pulled me into his arms. That was incredibly generous. Or incredibly stupid?
No.
He kissed my forehead. It was incredibly you. Compassionate but boundaried. Generous but not foolish. Your grandmother would be proud. I hope so. I leaned into him, exhausted but relieved. Now what? Now you build your foundation. You help people. You live the life your grandmother wanted for you. And you? I looked up at him. Where do you fit into this life? Marcus smiled. Wherever you want me.
Partner. Friend.
Boyfriend. Eventually, if you'll have me, husband. I'm not going anywhere this time, Elena. Not unless you tell me to leave. Don't leave, I whispered. Stay. Always. We stood there in his office, holding each other, while outside the sun set over the city and a new chapter began. The Margaret Hartwell Foundation opened its doors on a crisp October morning, exactly 6 months after my grandmother's funeral. The building was modest, a converted house in a neighborhood that needed hope more than it needed another luxury development. Inside, the walls were painted warm colors and children's artwork hung in the hallways. I stood at the door, greeting the families who'd come for our open house. Single mothers seeking job training resources. Veterans needing help navigating disability benefits. Teenagers looking for college application support. Elderly neighbors wanting companionship and assistance. The people my grandmother had been helping quietly for years. Now we'd help them openly, systematically, permanently. Ms. Hartwell. A young woman approached nervously. I'm Maria. You helped my family 3 months ago with rent assistance. I just wanted to thank you. I got the job I was interviewing for. We're going to be okay. I hugged her, tears stinging my eyes. That's wonderful, Maria. I'm so proud of you. Your grandmother would be proud too, she said softly. Mrs. Chin told me how she used to help people secretly. You're doing what she did, but bigger. Better. After Maria left, I walked through the building, checking on each room. The computer lab, where people could learn job skills. The counseling offices where therapists volunteered their time. The community kitchen where cooking classes taught nutrition and budgeting. In the back office, I found Vanessa training a new volunteer on the database system. My sister had cut her hair short, wore minimal makeup, and had lost the hard edge that used to define her. She'd been working at the foundation for 5 months now, showing up early and staying late, slowly earning the trust and respect of the staff and clients. She looked up and smiled.
Hey.
The turnout is amazing. It is, I agreed. You did good work promoting the event. Thanks. She hesitated. Elena, can I talk to you for a minute? We stepped into my office, Grandma's old study, where I'd spent so many afternoons reading to her. Her favorite chair was still here, a reminder of who I was building this for. I've been thinking, Vanessa said, about making it permanent. Not just working here, but going back to school. Getting a degree in social work. Actually learning how to do this right. That's a big commitment. I know. But this work, it means something. For the first time in my life, I'm doing something that matters. Something that's bigger than me. She looked down at her hands. I'm good at it, Elena. People trust me.
They talk to me.
I can help them. You are good at it, I said honestly. You're patient with the clients. You listen. You've got real talent for this work. So, you'll support me? If I apply to programs? Of course. We'll work around your class schedule. I paused. I'm proud of you, Vanessa, for sticking with this, for changing. She teared up. I'm trying. I'm really trying to be better than I was. I can see that. After she left, Marcus appeared in the doorway, looking devastating in a casual sweater and jeans. He'd become a fixture at the foundation, volunteering his legal expertise and helping clients navigate complex situations. Ready for the ribbon cutting? He asked. I looked around the office one more time. Almost. There's one more thing I need to do. I pulled out the letter I'd written the night before, placing it in a frame beside Grandma's chair. To everyone who walks through these doors, you are seen. You are valued. You matter. This place exists because one woman believed that everyone deserves kindness, dignity, and a second chance. Let us honor her memory by treating each other with the same grace she showed us. Elena Hartwell. Marcus read it over my shoulder, his arms wrapping around my waist. She'd love this. All of it. I hope so. I turned in his arms. Thank you for being here.
For all of this.
Where else would I be? He kissed me softly. You're building something beautiful, Elena. Something that will help thousands of people. I'm honored to be part of it. Outside, a crowd had gathered for the ribbon cutting. I spotted my parents in the back, standing quietly. My father looked healthier, though still fragile. My mother was dressed simply, clutching my father's hand. They were attending AA meetings together, couples therapy twice a week, and slowly rebuilding their lives without the facade of wealth to hide behind. They'd kept every promise they made in Marcus's office that day. The changes were real, sustainable, genuine. We weren't a perfect family, we might never be, but we were trying. And for the first time, that trying included me. Mrs. Chen stood in the front row, beaming with pride. Beside her were dozens of other neighbors, former clients of Grandma's secret charity, now ready to support the public mission. I stepped up to the microphone, looking out at the faces gathered before me. Thank you all for being here today. 6 months ago, I lost my grandmother, Margaret Hartwell. She was a woman who believed in quiet kindness, in helping others without fanfare, in seeing the invisible people that society overlooked. My voice steadied as I continued. I spent most of my life feeling invisible, feeling like I didn't matter, like I wasn't enough. My grandmother saw me when no one else did. She left me a gift, not just money or property, but the truth about my worth, about my value, about my right to take up space in this world. I could see people nodding, recognizing their own stories and mine. This foundation exists because she wanted that gift to multiply. She wanted every person who walks through these doors to know what she taught me. You are seen. You matter. You are enough exactly as you are. And you deserve help without judgment, support without strings, kindness without conditions. I picked up the oversized scissors. Marcus stood beside me, his hand on my back. Vanessa held one end of the ribbon, Mrs. Chin the other. The Margaret Hartwell Foundation is officially open. Welcome home. The scissors cut through the ribbon. Applause erupted. People flooded into the building, exploring the spaces we'd created with so much love and intention. My mother approached hesitantly. Elena, could I talk to you for a moment? We stepped aside, finding a quiet corner of the garden Vanessa had helped plant. I just wanted to say, my mother's voice trembled. Your grandmother would be so proud of you. And I'm proud of you. I know I have no right to be, after everything, but I am. Thank you, Mom. I've been thinking about what you said. about this being a chance, not forgiveness. I understand now. Forgiveness has to be earned. Trust has to be rebuilt. And I'm grateful you're giving us the opportunity to do that. She pulled a small box from her purse. This was your grandmother's. She wore it every day. I found it in her jewelry box after everything. I think she'd want you to have it. Inside was Grandma's simple gold locket. I opened it and found a tiny photo of me as a child, laughing at something outside the frame. On the other side was a more recent photo, me at the community center surrounded by kids. She kept pictures of you, my mother said softly. Always you, because you were her heart. I closed the locket, feeling the weight of it in my palm. Thank you for giving this to me. Thank you for giving us a chance to be better. She walked away, leaving me holding the locket and blinking back tears. You okay? Marcus appeared beside me, always knowing when I needed him. More than okay. I fastened the locket around my neck. I'm happy, Marcus. Actually, genuinely happy. You deserve to be. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. And I've been waiting for the right moment to ask you something. My heart stopped. Marcus. I know it's only been 6 months since we reconnected. I know we're technically still figuring things out. But Elena, I wasted 12 years without you. I don't want to waste another day. He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. Marry me. Build this life with me. Be my partner in everything. Yes. The word came out as a laugh, a cry, a prayer. Yes, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring on my finger and kissed me while our families, our friends, our community applauded around us. Mrs. Chun dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. Margaret knew, she said to anyone who would listen. She told me 6 months before she passed. Elena's going to be just fine. She's going to find her way home. As the sun set over the foundation, over the building that would help thousands of people find their own worth, I realized Grandma had been right. I had found my way home, not to a place, but to myself. I was no longer the invisible daughter. I was Elena Hartwell, founder of a foundation that would change lives. Soon to be Elena Chen, wife to the man who'd always seen me, sister to a woman learning to be better, daughter to parents trying to change. But most importantly, I was simply Elena. Seen. Valued. Enough. The little girl in Grandma's locket was smiling, and now, so was I. Your worth is not determined by how others treat you. The people who cannot see your value are revealing their own blindness, not your inadequacy. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is not revenge, but the courage to choose yourself, to demand better, to walk away from toxicity, to build something beautiful from pain. Forgiveness is not weakness, and boundaries are not cruelty. You can offer people a second chance while still protecting your peace. You can be compassionate without being a doormat. And remember, the ones who made you feel invisible were afraid of your light. Shine anyway. Build anyway. Love anyway. Live anyway. You were always enough. You just needed to see it yourself.